Welcome back. If you've just joined us, you're watching Business Morning on Channels Television. And don't forget, I told you earlier that any moment from now we will be joining live to the Tertiary Education Trust Fund Taxpayers Forum here in Lagos. And we hope to talk to our correspondent, Bolaji Akinwale, who is there right now to tell us what that event is all about. In the meantime, I have here with me Dr. Ikenna Nwosu. He is a member, Freight Forwarders Group of the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry. And of course, our conversation for today centers on trade facilitation in Nigeria in the light of this dwindling oil price and the government trying to look for other ways of generating fund. Here we're looking at how best can the trade facilitation process here in Nigeria be done to also help in generating revenue for the country. I'm now being joined by Dr. Ikenna Nwosu. Thank you very much, Dr. Nwosu, for joining me.
Thank you very much, Chibuzie.
Yeah. We have seen the oil price drop so badly. In fact, this morning it was at $59.
Yes.
And no doubt we really need to look for other sources of revenue generation. How can facilitating trade efficiently help government, in driving revenue?
Well, we are, quite frankly, the country is a bit in trouble. The Minister of Finance has said it's an economic phase. We're not really broke, and we're going to get past it. But it's enough to say it, but there have to be deliberate steps taken, and it's supposed to be an effective collaboration of all the stakeholders. When you talk about in terms of trade facilitation, it's either export or it's import. And the organized private sector, where my platform is, have been consistent in saying that government has not paid sufficient attention to the midstream aspect of the supply chain, which is the trade facilitation aspect. But we have seen effective changes in the Nigerian Customs Service. So, in terms of pulling in more revenues from the trade facilitation initiatives that need to be taken, we are looking at exports and we are looking at imports. First of all, in terms of export of non-oil products, good initiatives have been made, but we believe that there has to be an active, proactive paradigm shift in the work of the Nigerian Export Promotion Council. They've done very well. They have a new Director General, Segun Awolowo. He's done his work, but we need to see more collaboration between the NNPC and the Nigerian Customs Service, between the NNPC and the Port Regulator, the Shippers Council, and then with the organized private sector, come together and fashion a strategy so that with the work that the Minister of Agriculture is doing, the work the Minister of Mines and Steel Development is doing, all and non-oil export, will be galvanized by the Export Promotion Council. Additionally, we've told the new Director General, everybody talks of a one-stop import center. We need a one-stop export center. Pull an example from the Bangkok, Thailand example. They have the first in the world. One-stop export center. Do that. On the part of the Nigerian Customs Service, federal government needs to support the customs. Yes, a lot of changes have been made. And most important, they have a new department called for Human Capacity Development. We are now in peak season. We are supposed to be seeing larger revenues, more cargo coming in. But with the tumbling of the dollar prices, we're actually seeing the reverse. A lot of people who need to import, whether raw materials or finished products, are saying, hey, let's wait. Two reasons. Dollar rates, and there's a new CET. It's coming into effect, I think, the 1st of January. The Health State launched it yesterday. We need to know what it says, because any goods we're ordering now will come in next year. So we need to know how it's going to affect our indices. So that, in a way, is going to affect the customs revenue target. But more importantly, the Lagos Chamber of Commerce has been consistent in stating that the federal government needs to create a new paradigm shift with the customs service. We want the government to stop putting customs under pressure by giving them revenue targets. The more important role of customs, as designated by the World Customs Organization, is number one role, facilitate trade. Revenue generation is number two. But the standard rule everywhere in the world is that when you facilitate trade, the revenue comes in naturally. So the government needs to stop putting the customs on undue pressure. Because you're having drop in crude oil prices, you need other revenue generating agencies to meet certain targets, and then you don't give them targets, and you push them to the brink to meet that up. No. I think it will be more effective and to the general benefit of the entire system if the customs
is there any implications? Is there any implications for this? I mean, the government giving the customs a target.
Yeah, when you give them the target, then there's a tendency, in some cases, not all cases, there's a tendency for the officers of the ground to focus more on the revenue generation rather than the trade facilitation. But we have always been consistent in saying if you facilitate trade, the revenue must come. Look at this. A lot of goods are moved to Cotonou and Togo. Incidentally, the largest deep sea port in Africa is being built in Togo by the MSC group. They're going to move a lot of goods there. Well, a lot of people move their goods there. Why? Because they feel that there are too many issues that delay cargo exiting the ports. It's not only a custom issue. There are other issues. Port infrastructure, the roads, dwell time, and all that. And the port not being large enough to take the volume of cargo. So all those factors put together make Nigeria lose goods to other countries who now enjoy the revenues. So if you now add the issue of revenue target and say, hey, we want customs revenue, if there's an over-concentration on that, and then you make our tariffs a bit more uninteresting and unattractive, people will move to the neighboring countries.
All right, we know that the Nigerian Customs Service has a major role to play in terms of fiscal policy implementation.
Correct.
Yeah, particularly in the aspect of that relates to tariff and import protection. How well do you think the Customs Service has actually, discharged their responsibilities regarding this?
They've done well. There is room for improvement. That is always the catchphrase of the Chamber of Commerce. The Nigerian Customs Service is a statutory body to implement government fiscal policy. They have undergone a period of restructuring, repositioning, in line with best practices. They've introduced a new regime called the Pre-Arrival Assessment Report.
Yeah.
Now, the extent to which it has been successful has been gauged by stakeholders. Largely a good mark, but there are rooms for improvement. It is not only customs that is the driver of the success of the park. There are other stakeholders involved. But the argument is there is always room to improve the system. And one of the primary issues is the issue of attitude of some officers and the issue of the infrastructure for the officers to work with. The officers are not working in the best conditions, and that calls into question what are the terms agreed between the Bureau of Public Enterprise and the terminal operators. They're supposed to provide a conducive environment. And between the federal government and the Lagos State government, there are no access roads. Officers sleep on the road, both male and female, going to work, coming from work. How do you get the best out of that? So, and then finally, in terms of the power implementation, the speed with which amendment requests are treated needs to be improved so that goods are obtained out of the port very quickly.
Yeah, I remember that a few years ago there was a policy that cargoes will be cleared, within 48 hours.
Yes, 48 hours. Yes.
Was that ever achieved?
At some point, yes. It's been done particularly at the airport. That's one. On the side of the seaport, in the largest port in the country, Apapa Port, the terminal operator, the key terminal operator, APM terminals, have their ports open for 24 hours. So they fulfill their own role. The customs, too, officers on ground, practically for 24 hours to exit cargo. So to a large extent that was achieved, but with this multiplicity of other issues, some from third-party operators, some within the service, we need collective effort to improve the entire system. And so we have consistently said to the Honorable Minister of Finance Customs cannot go it alone. We need you to come to Lagos and spend time with the OPS to listen to us, because we're giving a lot of attention to macroeconomic issues, SME development, development finance institutions to give out loans at single-digit interest rates. But we are telling you that the midstream of the entire supply chain needs your attention as the Honorable Minister. We need you in Lagos. Come and give us a full day, if not 2 days, to discuss some of those issues so we can help both the service and the other stakeholders, particularly the Nigerian Shippers Council. The President signed an executive order making the Nigerian Shippers Council the economic regulator of the seaports. Unfortunately, we are seeing a situation where the people or the institutions or the operators to be regulated are taking the regulator to court. Today, December 17th, the Federal High Court will be giving a decision as to whether the suit instituted by the Association of Shipping Line Companies, agencies, questioning the right of the Shippers Council to set new tariffs is legal. So the Shippers Council is trying to reduce the cost of trade in the country, and the shipping companies are saying no, it needs to remain where it is. So government efforts is having challenges. So these are issues that we need the Honorable Minister, both finance and transport. Come to Lagos. It's part of your mandate. Spend 48 hours with us, look into these issues, call stakeholders together, and let's work together and move forward. Indeed, the chamber, I had a discussion with the Director General of the Chamber, of the Lagos Chamber. We just discussed and said, people tend to put unnecessary pressure on the executive. The legislature, who is going to debate the medium-term economic framework submitted by the minister, before they debate it, as well as the budget, we need them to come to Lagos, which is our capital. Come and sit with us who are in the trade facilitation industry and get our opinion, because there should be consultation and collaboration. The legislature hear from us, we elected you. The executive hear from us, so that when you are going back to debate documentation submitted in order to make the country move forward for 12 months next year, you will have gotten the inputs of the operators who are going to be the beneficiaries of what you're doing. So we believe that there is insufficient consultation both by the executive and the legislature. That's why we keep having trade facilitation, not meeting the full expectations in terms of revenue generation. That's our take. All right.
Now, you talked about tariff. Yeah, and I know that tariff classification has always been a source of frequent disputes between customs and, of course, importers. And, of course, the process of resolution of such disputes is often very, very slow and cumbersome. And then you are advocating that, of course, the finance minister should come to Lagos, meet with the middlemen and the value chain and all that. Are you saying, okay, if that's having that consultation, that kind of consultation, would that also help to tackle this issue of tariff classification?
To a large extent, yes. Tariff classification has been done by ECOWAS under the CET. I haven't seen the new documents, but traditionally, that's their role, since the CET became the central document for the region. When customs has a dispute with an importer, customs will give an opinion in writing or oral, and then he issues additional duty. If you don't agree with them, the next step is to go to the Ministry of Finance. But the Ministry of Finance is only in Abuja. But this is where there's an airport in Abuja, but there's an airport. So most of the trade is here and Port Harcourt. So you don't even have the delivery office here if you want to make an appeal. It's all the issues you're raising. Does everybody have to go to Abuja? No. So it delays the window of 48 hours. So in that case, the Honorable Minister should hear the justifiable concerns of both the manufacturers. I mean, there are 6 component units of the OPS. MAN, NECA, Lagos Chamber, and all that. So hear from us, and also hear from the customs, because the customs will have their own limiting factors. So that everybody is strengthened, that we move together with one goal in mind: improve revenue generation from trade facilitation. Noting that Trade facilitation is the primary responsibility of customs. Revenue generation is the second responsibility. It shouldn't be turned the other way around.
All right, thank you, Dr. Nwosu. Just hold your thoughts there. Take a quick break. We'll come back to that conversation. Well, we'll take a quick break now, and when we return, of course, we'll continue with that conversation. And we're also hoping to join our correspondent, Bolaji Akinwale, who is presently at the Tertiary Education Trust Fund Taxpayers Forum for year 2014, taking place here in Victoria Island, Lagos. Please stay with us.